All right, have and have not fans, hope you're all doing well. Go ahead and like the video. Well, you know what? This is a David themed video that people wanted me to do. So how about this? I'll do the David voice, but just do everything I'm about to ask you to do. I'd appreciate it. This is David Harrington from the Haves and the Have-Nots. And could you take a moment to like the video, hit that thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button to help Jeremy's YouTube channel reach 1 million subscribers. So subscribe and like. Following that, go ahead and hit the bell notification icon and select all. Turn on all notifications. That way you know whenever he posts things to the channel. And finally, follow him on social media. Links are in the description below. And remember, if you don't do the following, I'll come after you. I'll pimp slap you like I did that bitch Veronica, because I'm a good friend, but I'm a better enemy. Oh, okay, David, that's enough. I'm a good friend. Okay, that's enough. They got the point. Like and subscribe. All right, so this video is David stupid? I'm not stupid. Look, David, you had your chance to talk. Season 7 did not do you any favors, but I was just trying to. No. Sit down. Just trying to help Jim. Well, you didn't help a lot. So this is pretty much not only encompassing the next to last scene of season 7, where Alyssa ran out of David's house claiming he raped her, but just season 7 as a whole. And I'm not going to sit up here and rag on season 7 completely, because I do have a video coming out called Why Season 7 Bombed, as well as a video ranking the haves and have not seasons. And I've said this several times already. Season 7 was the worst season of the show. So in this video, we're just going to be looking at David. And honestly, when it comes to a majority of the main cast, none of them really did anything. I mean, think about it. David, pretty badass at the beginning of this season when him and Jeffrey had the guns, and it was them versus the group of thugs. And even though it really doesn't make sense, and well, I guess you could say, and I think I tried to explain this of how it made sense in the premiere episode about how, well, based on the vantage point David and Jeffrey had, it's possible that they were able to, shoot so many times that they could fend off the attackers. 2 of them died, but it just looked like there was at least a dozen guys when they first showed up in the house. But then Jeffrey and David come down with guns, and just those 2 were able to take out the entire group of them. Well, it took out 2 and then sent the other ones running. It reminds me of that epic scene from one of the only good scenes from Suicide Squad, where Deadshot got on the car and just was taking down the entire group of zombie possessed people. But then again, they really didn't have guns to fight back, so it's not really a fair comparison. But at the end of the day, it's one of those scenes where Tyler Perry logic at its finest for how that didn't make any sense. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know. It started off great because you had David. He saw the 2 guys there, and he just still kept shooting. And Jeffrey's just like, hey, okay, they're dead. Don't worry, Dad, we got them. They're gone. So after that, he pretty much gets the call about Jim and Catherine and why the whole shooting thing. And then he goes over there trying to get information. Hannah's not telling him anything. And then after that, that's pretty much David's thing this entire season. The only other thing is when he walks in on Jeffrey and Madison, and he pretty much says to Jeffrey that, don't worry, I'm going to handle this situation with your mother, implying that he's really going to get her killed this time. And then we learn that Veronica and Jim slept together twice, but then we also find out that David slept with Catherine on the honeymoon night, and that's pretty much it. And then after that, I remember when he told the doctor or Celine's boss at the hospital, that it's best to get her fired. I'm like, damn, David. And after that, he pretty much was just visiting Jim in the hospital and running Jim's chores. Like, hey, Aaron's like, hey, can you check on Wyatt? Can you check on Catherine? Can you do this, do that? And then, him and Hannah having exchanges. And then, I admire you, Hannah. You remind me of my mother. And then Hannah's like, would your mother be proud of you? And he didn't say anything after that. And I mean, it was almost like, wait, are they kind of hinting at a David Hannah thing? And then you had Veronica's mental montage, and then did I ever tell you I loved Hannah? And it's like, wait, what? There's no follow up on that. And then we have the Alyssa thing. So pretty much David was not really that much of a character so much as a deliverer of messages, so to speak. And after that, he meets Alyssa, and then she keeps coming around, and then eventually he, has sex with her, and then we see what happened with her claiming that she was raped. Is he stupid? I will admit. At first, I'm like, no, because when he first met Alyssa, he literally interrogated her on the scene right there. It's like he didn't care to finish the entire video with Erica. He wanted her to go away. It's like, because she was literally, I'll do anything for you. I'll get on my knees and everything. Like, get out of here. I don't want you. It's like, okay, David, that's what I'm talking about. He knew. He even went so far as to bring her over to Veronica's house and leave her because it's like he knew from the jump that this is probably a scheme with Veronica or Candace. I don't want anything to do with you. And then she came up again, and then, gives him a head, and then they end up in bed. Hey, I ain't even mean for that to rhyme, but it did. Gives him head, they end up in bed, and then boom, here's a new phone. I thought you wanted an apartment. I want a house. So things just kind of escalated quickly, not to quote Anchorman, but it is the appropriate line of dialogue here. So it feels kind of weird that things kind of went the way. It's almost like just a ridiculous mess at this point because of the fact we're introducing so many characters. And then with the characters we do have, it's a situation where, the storylines don't really consistently make sense because David's at the police station, David's at the hospital, David's at the Malone bar, David's over at Catherine's house, David's, he's just, the go for this, go for that. And his storyline feels a bit congested in the midst of all these other characters who are, for the most part, just prolonging and dragging out stories that are already there. So is David stupid? I will admit, Alyssa did kind of pull at the heartstrings for her story about how she was younger and, she was in court, and then David put her father away for life because of his crimes and everything. So it's pretty interesting because he's like, oh, damn. It's like, my decision on the bench. It's like he was being confronted by, a decision from his past, which was the right move. But at the same time, it's like, this man raped his children or daughters and killed, his wife and their mother. So he deserved to be put away for life. But it's just one of those things in regards to the justice system where when someone is rightfully put away, the rest of their family is kind of left to pick up the pieces. And, given that they were just put in one crappy foster home, one after another, it's like David is being, visited by, hey, this isn't just someone who knew Erica and everything. This is someone who was affected by one of your decisions on the bench. And it's that was a heavy subject. But then for the story to turn the way it did, I don't really like that. I mean, I really do feel like the Alyssa storyline could have went in an interesting direction. But David having sex, yeah, that was dumb. I mean, Alyssa's literally doing to David what Alex did to Ian in like the second episode of season 5. What was it called? Jennifer, right? Or yeah, episode 1 was called like Old Skeletons or something, and then the second one was called Jennifer or Jennifer Peppa. And basically, she was drunk, went down on Ian, they had sex multiple times, and the next morning it's like, oh, you raped me. But in this case, Alyssa knew exactly what she was doing. So I don't think the only reason David's stupid is if he doesn't have cameras or anything to prove his innocence in regards to not raping her. But then another thing to take into consideration is Alyssa ran out screaming, rave, he did this, he did that. And then David's like, go get her. And then Leo looks at him just like, I love how Leo looked at David without saying a word when Alyssa ran downstairs. And then he came down in his robe and Leo's just like kind of shaking his head and then go get her. Because Leo's like, man, I know you know not to have sex with her. Like, a woman who's dancing in your fountain ain't nothing but trouble. So from that point, we have a situation where we're most likely going to see Alyssa back in the house. But here's what I don't want to see. And from behind the scenes stuff from like last year, this is what's going to piss me off. Let's say a police officer shows up. Why would a police officer show up? You're probably wondering, well, Jeremy, remember David's in like a rich neighborhood now and everything. I mean, well, not to say he wasn't before, but he's in a more prestigious neighborhood surrounded by other rich people. So, a woman or black woman screaming out in the middle of the night, rape, their, neighbors probably going to call the cops. But there have been so many different scenarios in the show so far since David moved into this house where if somebody was going to call the cops, they would have. I mean, hell, look at that scene where Hannah, what was his name? Malik, the guy that Candace sent to go after Hannah to rough her up so she would allow the money transfer from the joint bank account back to hers. When Hannah was attacked by Malik, stabbed him, and he ran out and then drove off in the middle of the night with RK and Candace. And Hannah was like running up and down the street screaming, banging on doors, but nobody would answer. And I'm like, yeah, ain't nobody outside. So, and then you look at David's house, from the car explosion to Veronica setting both cars on fire, Erica and David's cars on fire. Veronica with the megaphone, Veronica with the group of black guys in the middle of the night and then shooting up the house. If there were no neighbors calling the police or whatever at that point, there should be no neighbors calling because of one woman screaming rape, because that makes no sense at all. But that's probably what's going to happen because this show has just lost its sense of any kind of reality. But all I got to say is David will probably find a way out of this. I believe the episode title for season 8, episode 1 is called The Long Game. And it talks about how, Alyssa's trying to get the best of David, but David isn't someone who doesn't go down without a fight. So I feel like David has a contingency plan, but at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where he will probably still associate with Alyssa because he liked what she did. But at the same time, I don't know how this is going to play out. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I don't think David's stupid. I don't think he's being written to be a competent character, if that makes sense. Where, again, he's not stupid, but he's just making dumbass decisions. Even though it is interesting how to compare that to Andy from Sisters, but I don't know. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate if you liked and subscribed like David Harrington asked you at the beginning of the video. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so by hitting Jeremy up on Cash App, PayPal, or joining his Patreon for as little as $1 a month.